Commission. We work with 10 ministries of Government of India. We work with World Bank. We work with WHO. So worldwide, one of the most interesting spaces we have spent, and we have impacted over millions of learners, is only on trying to understand how people learn. What is the learning science? I'm sorry to say that this is one area which has not been explored closely by industry or even academia. How do people learn? Why some people learn, why some people don't learn? What is the role of the faculty in the entire learning process? If you ask me honestly, we spend a lot of time on learning content. We've been working with 10 countries. In fact, one of the most important things I've learned is in learning, adult learning, especially the current learning, vernacular language are the key to learning. English learning is passing. Most of the people don't read English content. They just glimpse over it. But what people relate to is only two things: vernacular, video. Today, for example, 2 days ago, I was in Delhi with the CEO of CEO of Capacity Building Commission and Kamayavi project. Kamayavi project is slowly moving into MP4 format for learning, which is video, all of you know. So the future of learning itself is changing dramatically from auditory, which is what our old system of teaching in the classes, teachers speaking, to moving into video or visual. Really significantly. And Government of India is recognizing it faster than all of us in this room. So I'm completing this part about saying only two things. In the learning space, we have spent enough time to know what we don't know. We don't know still many things as a company. We're always studying, learning, experimenting. Now I want to talk last about school education. My expertise or my exposure to school education has happened in the last 7 years. I work with 2 schools in Hyderabad. They're a slum area. They're funded by Ahmedabad Alumni Association, where I'm a trustee. We are educating 900 children from poorest of the poor in 2 biggest slums in Hyderabad. But the interesting part, which I want to tell you, these kids were smarter than what I was at that age group. Their hunger to learn is amazing. Their adoption of technology. During COVID time, we decided, as I am Ahmedabad alumni, we will not disrupt the education. So every child in class 9 and 10, we managed to give them an iPad. Every teacher was retrained on using laptop, and the education continued. The surprise is, children adopted faster than the teachers. Teachers are struggling to use using laptops. Children were picking up like this. So that's a good news about our young children. They are smarter than us, what we were in the age group. And the poorer they are, their hunger for education is more, provided we create the right environment for them. That's our job sitting here. So let me go on to some conclusions. This is a backdrop what I said here. And what I think is the real problem, which I think this conference should seriously study. First is AI is going to beat the hell out of human beings. Whether we like it, don't like it. Second, AI is already there. It's no longer discovering AI, how to use AI. It's AI. I, for example, prepared this entire presentation in 4 hours using AI with my knowledge, my experience. I interacted 10 to 12 times to change the presentation, and finally it produced output. One is the write-up, which I put on the table there. The second is the PPT, which was prepared entirely by AI, which I used to spend hours preparing all of them now, reduced to 4 hours of thinking. So AI is all pervasive. And I'm 68 years old now, and every day in the morning when I get up, I do at least 2-3 prompts on AI to see something, what I want to learn something new, right? So let's go to the first part. AI is there for reality. Children, the students are not the problem. They will embrace AI, digital tools, faster than you can ever imagine. And poorer children adopt faster. The problem is teachers are not learning fast enough. Today teachers are not keeping pace. In our school, we struggle with the teachers to try and make them see how they should use content available more creatively, whatever is available. Second, knowledge is not the problem. Mastery is the problem. We are all used to in India, we are very good at talking, giving gyan to somebody else, but if you go deeper into it, how much of mastery do you have? You'll be surprised. We need to teach in our children not about breadth of knowledge, we need to teach them depth of knowledge. We must create masters, and whatever they do, they must have some mastery for the subject. Second, application of knowledge is more important than remembering. The memory model is dead. I don't remember a telephone number except my wife and my driver's number. 2 numbers. Rest of them I don't remember because I use a mobile phone to access any number that I want. So memory is dead. But application is essential. So in knowledge, the question is not what is the answer. The question is where can I find it reliably? Should I use ChatGPT? Should I talk to somebody? How do I validate the knowledge? Curriculum is not the problem. Curriculum is already there in multiple formats. The real issue is not to teach learning science, is to teach learning science and AI literacy. Learning science is the most important thing in my mind, I think, which is the least priority for educators, regulators. All our teachers must get a certification course on advanced learning science of children, I would say adults, young adults and older adults. The learning science changes dramatically. What they absorb, how knowledge intimidation plays a role in absorption of content. The future skills, of course, has been talked about extensively. Definitely it's not going to be physics and chemistry. It's not going to be, because physics and chemistry is available. We must be able to absorb the principles of physics. We must understand absorb the principles of chemistry. And thereafter, you will be guided in real time listening to the best of the speakers around the world. For example, at this age, I want to learn relativity. I go to the web and World Science Congress, I listen for 4 hours. It really opens up my mind because the speakers there are world class and they know how to speak to an audience like all of us, common man. So therefore, there is whole theory of learning the subject in depth is less important than to understand the principles of it and how do we look for additional information on that. And lastly, and this is what I want to close this, what is the end result of education? According to me, end result of education is to ask the right questions, not to get the answers. Answers are available on the tab, it's free, you can get it anytime. Ask the right questions. Second, how to validate the answer that you get. People all, even human beings and AI have a bias in what information it gives you. AI has a bias, human beings have a bias. I need to make up my mind when I get some information, not data, but some analytics of information. How do you make sense out of it? Does it make sense? Can I implement it? How do I implement it? Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to invite Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe, Chairman, National Education Technology Forum and National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Government of India, to kindly join us for the keynote address.
Sabiko Namaskar, very good morning to all of you. On the dais, we have very eminent personalities, starting with Dr. Sudhakar Rao, who opened the innings with a lot of input, and before that, of course, Jayedev, Meela also mentioned about the purpose of this particular 2 days workshop which is being held here. Then very beautifully, Dr. Muralidharan explained about not only what TMI group is doing, but also need for teacher training, value system, and many other things which are required to be implemented. And Professor Balakista Reddy has mentioned about how national education policy is being implemented in Telangana so that we are prepared for FICCI Telangana and FICCI Bharat. I think with this brief, which I have received a lot of inputs from these eminent people, and I'm sure Madam Dipti Gaddam also at the end will speak about something which has transpired today's meeting. I was noticing we have to maintain the time. Dr. Sudhakar Rao, I am also a professor, so if I am overstepping, you have every liberty, right to stop me. And I have got an advantage. So previous speakers probably spoke. What is the future which is lying ahead of us? That is the real spirit. And for that, we have to look at the last 1 or 2 decades as to what is happening. We all know that technology has been a great enabler, right from 18th, 19th century when industrial revolution took place, maybe right from steam engine, IC engine to aeroplanes to slowly semiconductors, then we had computers, then we have now ICT technologies, and then thereby leading to internet, and finally today we are talking about AI. What next? Probably no one knows. Future is really uncertain. And in management parlance, there used to be, in the 80s, a very famous terminology called VUCA world. The world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And this is not just during that phase, but even today. And you mentioned about COVIDization. I think COVIDization spirit was imbibed in our country with great resilience. And one of those early vaccines developed was from this city of Hyderabad in Telangana, and which our country not only gave to all the citizens of the country who desired to have it, but also to many nations in the world, free doses were sent to them. So that is the spirit of Bharat, which is very, very important. And therefore, when we step back and look at what is going to be the future, the curriculum is one part. Finally, what we need to teach to students has to be relevant. Relevant to society, relevant to industry, relevant to the nation. That is a given thing. Of course, for a long time, we are not revising curricula. We have now slowly embedded our curricula as to be latest, not just because of the guidelines of the UGC or AICT, but even otherwise, that is the need. Otherwise, students will not get employed. So that is the need of the hour, and that is being in a way practiced. And therefore, many a times, it may be biased. We talked about even human bias. Now, of course, when we are teaching in our classes, we have our own growth, etc. And based on our experiences, we have some biases about individuals, about society and all that. We reflect them in our classrooms as well. And therefore, every individual has to be trained to be a great thinker. Critical thinking, analytical ability are just permanent things. Although many things will change, and we say change is permanent, but this is not going to be temporary but permanent. We have to be critical thinkers, we have to analyze. And our ancient philosophy of Nachiketa, who always questioned everything that was told to him, he never accepted it as it is. So same thing will happen in the future. Whatever AI says, we have to critically start talking about it, thinking about it, analyzing it, and make use of that entire information which we have gathered, converting it into knowledge, and that knowledge into maybe future applications which are required. And that is why, even though our curriculum is going to be changed, or continuously being changed, that is not going to be enough, because there are many technological innovations, changes happening in the world around, and therefore we have to be well prepared for that. And that is why there are certain terminologies which have become in vogue, especially in industry, from the perspective of employability. That is reskilling, upskilling, and whatever skills you had, you have to forget them and learn new skills. And these terms of terminologies have also been practiced of late. And that's why, in a lighter way, many times I say, like our medicines have an expiry date, our degrees need also to have expiry dates. And after 10 years, if you still do not have additional learning in terms of courses from online, offline, wherever it is, your degree should be invalidated with the degree. And if you have to revalidate it, there must be a stamp that your degree is validated for next 5 years, next 10 years. And that is the order of the day today. So that is how artificial intelligence may have to be made use of by all of us. And for doing all of this, there are lots of facilitations which are required. one of them is the policy itself. So therefore, national education policy, when it talks about multidisciplinary education, very relevant, very important, because no product today in our day-to-day life is unidisciplinary. You take a laptop, you take a mobile phone, you take a camera, you take a satellite, you take aeroplane, it is all multidisciplinary. And therefore, how do we make our students prepared for multidisciplinarity? This is number one. Along with that, you also mentioned about language, and that's very significant. Because in India, even after about 75 years of independence, right from about 0.3, 0.4% of the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, we have come a long way to about 29-30%. And our goal in NEP is to reach 50% in the next 10 years. And of course, remaining 50% also must have skill sets so that they are employable, they are entrepreneurial. And therefore, in order to take all of these forward, we necessarily to have multidisciplinarity and also taking care of the last man in the remotest possible area. And that's why the education which you mentioned about giving it to the slum dwellers, and also seeing that children are fast learners than the people of our age, we are slow learners. Maybe whether slow or fast, all of us need to be given that equitable access to all the people in this country, and of course finally to the entire globe. But we should start from our own home, and that's why taking technology to the remotest places is possible through today internet revolution as well as 4G, 5G revolution. Most of the villages are covered with fiber optic connectivity, nearly 70% of them. Whatever are left out, remaining 30% may have to be also addressed in the next couple of years, whereby no part of the country should complain that we don't have access to this digital education which you all are talking about AI. If that access is not there, how do we do it? And therefore, one of the founding principles in our education policy is access and equity. But along with that, a third dimension of quality is also added. Many times we increase numbers, but as said, that after graduation, in 1 year, while working in the company, if you are evaluating their performance and find that the difference between the top 10% and the bottom 10% is 13 times, it is a sad story. So what is ailing? And therefore, what needs to be understood is that motivation is somewhere missing. I got a job, I am getting a salary, so I will continue. Chalta hai attitude is not acceptable at all. And how do we do it? And that will come from our teachers. When we talk about lifelong learning and learning to learn, first thing is our teachers should practice it. Only then if they tell their students that you have to be lifelong learners, they will accept it. If you are outdated and you are talking about lifelong learning and doing new courses, I'm sure children will not appreciate it. And that's why first principle.
Before we call Ms. Deepti onto the stage, we would request Dr. Sudhakar Rao to please join us along with Maheshwar Perigaru and co-author Hari Paruchuri Garu.
Created, the profit is not going to the mind creators. 2 days old with Gemini 3 and things like this. But who are the people who are extracting value out of this? These things were built basically for enterprises. So essentially B2B is protocol interface. So that is, if you want to use a model, it's the same thing that happens.
Path of righteousness. Never neglect learning and self-study. So alongside my core responsibility of heading ozone hospitals, which many of you know here, but what you do not know is my educational institution called D School, which I have set up to encourage competency-based education, which fills the gap within the industry for all of the professionals. Now you might ask me, why D school? D is for Deepthi. No. So D is to democratize the learning opportunities, right? So D school and why school? As our speakers have been continuously telling, education is a learning and lifelong process. So school continues all towards the life, right? So that's why D school. So one that doesn't end with degrees, but evolves with every conversation, every challenge, and every innovation we encounter in our day-to-day lives. So this morning's proceedings have reaffirmed that belief, and I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to everyone who has been instrumental in curating this wonderful event. Thank you all. So I start by thanking Mr. V Rama Raju, Chairman of FICCI, Telangana State Council, and founder and MD of Gaja Engineering. Thank you, sir, for your visionary leadership and championing this initiative. I also would like to thank Mr. Jayesh Meela, Co-Chairman of FICCI Telangana State Council and Managing Director of Sudhakar Group. Your warm welcome address set the perfect tone for today's conversations. Thank you. Dr. Sudhakar Rao, Conference Chair and Chairman of FICCI Telangana, and Skilling Committee, your theme address provided the intellectual foundation for our deliberations today. Thank you for framing the critical questions we must address in today's sessions. Mr. T. Muralidharan, Chairman, TMI Group, your special address brought valuable industry perspectives on integrating technology with human-centric thinking. Thank you for sharing your insights also on the COVIDization, something that I coined today. Professor Balakista Reddy, Chairman of the Policy Guidance, lent tremendous credibility to this summit. Also, what you spoke about the technology prompts gives us a lot of insights how to use technology with caution. Thank you. Professor Anil Sahasrabuddhe, Chairman of National Educational Technology Forum and National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Govt of India. Thank you for your keynote address that has truly inspired us with a national vision for educational technology and quality. So you taught us so much, sir, today, starting from multidisciplinary education to training of the trainers, sustainable development programs, entrepreneur education for employability. So thank you so much for illuminating the path forward. I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all our partners who have made the summit possible. Our government partners, Pradhan Mantri Uchatar Shiksha Abhiyan, PM Usha, Govt of India, and Telangana Council of Higher Education, Govt of Telangana. Thank you for your invaluable support and commitment to advancing educational excellence. And to our knowledge partner, FICCI Group, thank you for contributing your expertise and insights, and our annual sponsors, Gaja Engineering and Sudhakar Group. Thank you for your continued support and belief in this mission today. I would also like to thank our organizing team at FICCI, mainly being Fani, Raj, Tilak Garu, and Jyotsna, and all the FICCI team members. Thank you for putting this amazing event together and making every participant present here for this inaugural session so vibrant and meaningful. As we now move forward into our subsequent sessions, let us carry this momentum to engage deeply today with the exciting discussions that awaits all of us. Thank you all, and I look forward to enriching sessions today. Thank you.
फ्यूचर फॉरवर्ड यानी आगे में क्या होना चाहिए उसके बारे में स्पेशली हाउ वी हैव टू री इमेजिन एजुकेशन फॉर एन एआई वर्ल्ड, क्योंकि आज पूरे जगत में एआई का बोलबाला चल रहा है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस. सो हाउ डू वी मेक यूज ऑफ एआई इन आवर कॉलेजेस, यूनिवर्सिटीज एंड स्कूल्स. ऑन दैट दिस कॉन्फ्रेंस इज अरेंज्ड. And many people are afraid of AI. We should not be afraid of AI. We should adopt it, use it, misuse नहीं करना. We must make use of AI effectively in terms of lot of analytics which gives lot of information. एक लाइब्रेरी में जाके 100 किताब पढ़ने में बहुत टाइम लगता है, लेकिन 100 किताब का समरी ब्रीफ में 2 पेज में यदि हम तैयार कर सकते हैं तो कितना यूजफुल होगा. एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट AI is able to do. Hundreds of books. Out of that summary, what we used to do in our English literature school curriculum, there is a long essay given and we were asked to prepare a précis in 100 words. तो ये AI करके देता है. 1000 किताब को भी पढ़ के हमको पढ़ने में 2-2 महीना लगेगा, 4-4 महीना लगेगा. वो आधा घंटा में उसका पूरा का पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल के आपको देने का ताकत AI में है. इसका उपयोग करते हैं, लेकिन इसका यूज़ करके कॉपी पेस्ट करके चीटिंग करके नहीं करना चाहिए. इसलिए एथिकल यूज़ ऑफ AI का भी हमारे एजुकेटर्स को, स्टूडेंट्स को ट्रेनिंग देने की ज़रूरत है. ऐसा हम करेंगे तो हम बहुत अच्छा तरीके से हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को नॉलेज भी देंगे, उसका एप्लीकेशन तैयार करने में मदद करेंगे. दैट इज़ हाउ वी कैन मेक इंडिया ए ग्रेट कंट्री, विकसित भारत बाय 2040.
Visionary leaders for the Fireside chat session. Over to our moderator, Venugopal Garu.
With this sector, and it's truly a privilege to invite you, sir, today to this. The topic of today's discussion is AI in education and skilling, whether it's an enabler or a disruptor. And before moving on to taking his views on the topic, I would like to take 2 minutes to set the context so that each one of us is on the same page. Way back in August 22, I'm referring to 3 years ago now, we saw the announcement of ChatGPT coming on board, and suddenly from nowhere you saw a barrage of people who went on and subscribed to this. They started using this, and 3 years down you have seen such drastic changes taking place on that front, that AI now has become synonymous with the next revolution, and it's something much bigger than the internet. Taking investments now, I think the US followed by China, these are the big countries where investments are happening. And in today's morning sessions we also heard somebody say about what is called as the upstream investments and the downstream investments. And somebody was, I think Muralidharan sir was talking about what is called the downstream kind of activities that we should be doing. And I'm sure in India the investments are around $12 billion now compared to about $600 billion that are happening in the US. So as a country, what are the things that we are going to be seeing as being disruptive? Definitely a lot of jobs. Yesterday's Mint magazine carries this, that 66% of the skills will be outdated and taken over by technology, notably AI. And 1.5 million jobs will be relocated or reassigned. The question being asked now is, will these people be ever retrained, upskilled and repositioned in their own units? We're also seeing big companies, big tech companies, I'm not naming them on a public platform today, are also looking at shedding a lot of their workforce. So we are at a very strategic inflection point in our times. And coming to education now, which is the topic for today, I think it is something that we need to stop, drop anchor and reflect. Are we sailing? Where are we? Are we prepared for the next 5 years, the next 10 years? And India being what it is, we have so many issues to tackle with. Is it a place where the technology will finally be leveraged? It will be used for the purpose of common good. Education being one of those areas where a country's competitiveness is also measured. We are lagging behind significantly compared to other countries, notably China. So with this background, I thought I should begin this conversation today. Sir, we'll begin with the first question now that I had. I made it ready because it is a sequence that I wanted to follow. So pardon me if I'm looking into my page. It is not to get back to anything, but allow me this. All of you have heard about Mr. Anurag Behar. the person who runs the Azim Premji Foundation. He is one of the key votaries of education in this country. And I just have a quotation from one of his many articles that he has written. Learning is not merely the acquisition of facts. It is the expansion of consciousness. Every child has immense potential. Education must help to discover it. So the first question, Jayesh sir, is there is a fear that AI will dilute the purpose of education. Is it justified? Is this fear justified?
So, thank you, Professor Reddy. Greetings to everyone in the audience, other speakers. So, is it
working? Mic? Sir, it's working. It's okay.
Oh, at the back? Are you able to hear? So, see, there are different stakeholders in the world of education. And what will AI mean to each of the stakeholders? We need to actually take a very disaggregated view. The students will benefit in some way. It definitely will cause harm, there's no doubt about it. Parents will have certain other kind of advantages and disadvantages, particularly parents who are not very prosperous, who come from remote areas, rural areas. They will be more disadvantaged than others. Thereafter, we have people who provide education, schools, colleges, faculty. They, in my sense, they will benefit the most, and this is a great time for them. And then, of course, there are people who are involved in the ecosystem in other ways, people who create content, who do evaluation, who are into counseling and all that. They also will have advantages using AI. So if you look at all the stakeholders, these are the main stakeholder groups. Students will benefit, but there will be some harm for sure. Parents, those who live in cities, who come from rich families and who have access to gadgets, who speak English, internet and all is not a challenge for them. They will be happy about it, but at the same time the digital divide, the other part of the country or the society which is not so privileged, for them it will be a very big loss. Already they are at a lower level of socio-economic progress. Adopting AI in practically everything related to education will push them back further, so the divide will be bigger. So we need to kind of take a balanced view on what we need to do. But I'll kind of expand your question. I mean, while you would like to ask more questions on education, I would like to answer more questions related to skills, because I'm not directly in education, but I'm working quite a lot on skills. Some of you may be aware that many state governments are preparing their vision for 2047, responding to the call given by Honorable Prime Minister that India should become an advanced country, Vikasit Bharat. So we are doing that same exercise here, and coincidentally on the 9th of December, our Telangana Rising vision document will be released, and I have personally kind of worked on the skills chapter on that. What do we want to do? And I'll take a few minutes. This is also, since you come from an academic world, this is also a common strategy which students adopt. If they have prepared well for any particular topic or question, then regardless of whatever is asked, they bring that in the answer. So I'm trying to do the same. I mean, I'm better prepared to answer skills question, but you are asking only education questions. I mean, I can answer education questions in a common sense way, but I don't work in the education sector in a formal way, but I am involved in skills. So what I'll do is that I'll tell you what our plan is to do for skilling. So one section in the Telangana Rising chapter is on youth. As you would know, youth is the present of the country, the future of the country. No government can afford to ignore the aspirations of the youth. So the vision goal that we have set for ourselves is that every youth in Telangana will have the best possible mix of skills, both technology skills, knowledge skills, soft skills, which will help him find the best employment opportunities or job opportunities, best self-employment opportunities, best entrepreneurial opportunities, and if he wants to go abroad, work abroad, even migration opportunities. So this is the vision, that every young person in Telangana will have the best mix of skills possible. Now the methodology to do this is a good goal. I mean, no government will dispute, no person will dispute with this goal that students should not have skills, etc. But how do you intend to achieve it? So this is more complicated, but we have created a roadmap on what we want to do. So our plan is like this. So let us say you are a student and by 10th grade you have studied for 10 years, you have appeared in your 10th grade exam, some results have come, and you have to take a call. What do you want to do next? Do you want to study further? If you want to study further, what do you want to study? If you want to drop out, do something else, what will suit you, etc., etc. So the plan for our government is that we will conduct a very rigorous assessment of each and every student in the state who has completed 10th grade. And the assessment will be looking at the following things. One, his immediate 10th class results. But before 10th, he would have written 10 other exams from class 1 to class 9. Evaluate those results also. Take feedback from his teachers about his abilities. Take feedback from his friends, peer group, about his abilities and interests, and a self-assessment of that person. At 15 years of age, you may not be very accurate in assessing yourself, but whatever you feel about yourself, what you say. So all that data will be used to give a very 360-degree analysis of this person on what is he good at, what can he do well. If his 10th class results are low, in the previous 9 years also he has not achieved anything great, his attention span is small, he is not able to focus on anything, then to push that kind of a person into further studies, higher studies, etc. will be a waste of time and resources. So the assessment can reveal, suppose we get a feedback that this is the condition of that student, but he is very good at sketching, very good at drawing. Can we recommend a course, a skilling course in animation, VFX, game development, which also is an area where lots of high-paid jobs are coming, international jobs are coming. So instead of forcing him to study something else which will be of no use to him. So the assessment will give multiple recommendations. A menu of options will be given to him. Let us say the parents, at that age, the parents have a more dominant role. So let us say the parents ignore the advice that we give. They decide to admit him in 11th and 12th, intermediate. We will do one more round of assessment after his 12th. If anything has changed, that will be captured in the assessment. If nothing has changed, then the recommendations will be the same. So at every stage, suppose despite our recommendation, they choose to admit him in an engineering college, completes his engineering. He has acquired no skills, no knowledge, but obviously he is a young person, he has to be given a career opportunity. We will evaluate him the third time. And finally, if they agree that this, of the 8 recommendations or 10 recommendations that we give to you, X recommendation is the best. And then we will support him in fulfilling that X recommendation. If that requires him to join a course, how do you join the course? Which are the institutions which teach those courses? What is the fee structure? Are you eligible for any scholarship? If there's an entrance exam, how to prepare you for that exam? And so on and so forth. And then after he does that course, how to find a good job, how to get placed, who are the companies who are asking for candidates, and so on. And of course the network of companies, etc., that will be very dynamic. Suppose a new company comes, they will be added to the pool. Some sector may become kind of insignificant due to certain global reasons. For instance, currently we see the American government is imposing all kinds of barriers, tariffs. Some segment which used to have a huge overseas potential can suddenly go down. So a very dynamic analysis will be done. And this is the way we will ensure that every student gets personalized attention on what his true potential is, what he can do, help him access the best courses of that, help him complete those courses successfully and find a good placement, or if he wants self-employment, guide him with a business plan and so on and so forth. So I spoke so extensively about all these things is because all this can be achieved only by using AI. It is not humanly possible. I mean, we just will not be able to assess, let us say, 12 lakh children who complete 10th class every year, 8 lakh children who complete intermediate every year, some 1,50,000 students who pass out of engineering every year and so on and so on. No human being, no system using human resources can do all these kind of things. So if you look at how Telangana wants to advance as a state in terms of skilling, we have to rely on AI, and this is the next big task. So from a macro perspective, and obviously the AI tool will be applied at every level. It will be useful for students because it will generate a very accurate analysis of his capabilities. It will give him very precise inputs on what institutions will suit him, what courses will suit him. It will help him prepare for those courses. It will assist him in doing his assignments and classwork and homework properly. It will assist them in preparing for the exam. It will assist them in preparing for the interviews. And if at the end of all this effort, if he gets a good, well-paying job, he supports his family, he becomes a kind of a valued person in the society, in his community. It also helps in a way the parents, the community, and at a larger level it assists the society and the state, etc. So we could not have even dreamt of this pathway, this vision without AI. So in that sense, I mean, it is very, very useful, very valuable, and we just can't do without it, is what I wanted to tell.
I hear from different educational institutions. Some are in the private sector. Not everybody is a management school here. Some are in the engineering space, some are in the medical sciences area. So in terms of educators now, I mean, what is the role, I think from a policy perspective, are you going to include the colleges and schools in Telangana in this mission that you have embarked on? And where do you foresee the role of teachers in this transformative change, which is bound to create that advantage not only for the state but for the country as a whole? Where are teachers now in this space?
Yeah, so obviously the pool of institutions which will provide relevant courses to the students will be from Telangana, majority of them. I mean, if there is some domain for which we don't have enough institutions, we may look outside, but I would imagine 99% of the institutions from Telangana. And because the state has these options in the menu, if no courses are offered currently in that mix, I'm sure some entrepreneur will recognize that this is an opportunity, they will come up and so on. See, the educators, see, all of us have been to schools, colleges. I've been very fortunate to attend some very premier kind of institutions, academic institutions. So I mean, all of us have, I'm sure, would have similar examples. Currently, what happens is that, see, when we speak about students, we use the term students in a very homogeneous way. We presume that every student is alike, but the reality is that there are different kinds of students, all with different levels of intelligence, application, and sometimes day by day their mindset changes. There could be some pressing issue at home because of which they are not able to concentrate. Something else may happen. I know of a friend of mine, I mean, he was not in my class, he was in a class below. He was doing very well academically. He used to get the first rank in the class. Once he suffered some sports injury and he had to miss school for 15 days. Missing those 15 days put him back so much that from being a class topper year after year after year, he started performing literally towards the bottom of the... Just a 15 days break from school completely broke his attitude, his mentality. So anything can happen. Now what happens is that educators obviously offer a straightforward, one-size-fits-all kind of an approach, typically targeted at students about whom the presumption is that they are intelligent, they are completely in the space, they are paying attention to every word, but we all know very well that 99% of the students are not like that. I mean, even if they are intelligent, they are not in that space at all the time. Sometimes they may be in the space, but majority of the times they are daydreaming, they are thinking of something else, and so on and so forth. So the exam-focused learning is possibly the root cause of all this. But if you have to take care of every student in the class, if you have to help them develop good levels of understanding on the subject, not just to pass that exam, but to also help them in whichever way the topic is of relevance. Technology again is very, very important. So suppose you tell, let us say I have to teach a concept of physics. In the beginning of the day, if you can use, you gave the example of ChatGPT. If you tell ChatGPT that generate 3 examples of this topic, one which will appeal to the bright students, one which will appeal to the average students, and one which will appeal to students who are only students for name's sake. They have no interest in education. But can we still motivate them? And if ChatGPT gives you 3 examples which you quote one after the other, how good will it be? I mean, how impact will it create? So, as I told, educators can benefit enormously using AI. But the other thing which I'm noticing, see, I have been working in the domain of technology for many years. I moved on now, but till just about 6 months ago. For almost 12 years, I was involved in the world of technology. We all understand the power of AI, but we have still not reached a level where we are able to convince young people or anyone who is in any profession to master AI. To my personal understanding, after attending hundreds of AI-focused discussions, master classes, talks, etc., that just having a vague knowledge of what AI is not going to help you at all. In fact, when I go to colleges and all, I sometimes use a language which is considered very harsh, but I'll still tell young people that if you are not willing or able to master AI, you will be killed. I use this expression, killed. And it's not a nice expression to hear. If I tell you that I'm going to kill you or you will be killed, I mean, you will not feel happy at this expression. But that is the reality. Just reading what is the definition of AI on Wikipedia will not help you at all. Unless you master AI, you will really be killed. You will be badly left behind. I mean, you will be trampled over. And mastery comes only if you start applying it. So that is what I tell young people, that whatever subject you are doing, whatever plans you have, understand what are the best tools that are suited for that and start practicing, start applying. If you apply AI in the kind of work that you are doing, and if you do it for over maybe 2 months, 3 months or so, you will develop that mastery. And mastery is required. Just knowing what is AI, you are vaguely, some of us use it for recreation. I know of many young people who will tell ChatGPT, she is my girlfriend, create a poem for her, I'll send that poem. So all that is fine, but that won't help you master that technology. So unlike so many other technologies where someone else can help you. For example, let us say we are in the government. We have lots of databases. Our databases are prone to cyber attacks. I can engage some agency, they will protect my database. But I can't delegate the personalized AI benefit that I can get to someone else.